From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Late Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.
Hello there. Good evening and welcome to your show, the O&M Late Show. I am Obiora Ilo, my partner, my co-anchor, Mamode Akuga, is still on tour. And if we are lucky tonight, he'll be bringing us up to speed with what he's been doing out there in the United States of America. Well, today we are going to be looking at ECOWAS at 40. What's the impact of the parliament? Of course, the parliamentarians from all over West Africa are in Abuja for one of their sessions. So we'll be talking to two ECOWAS parliamentarians. Honourable Jefferson Canmore is of the Liberian Parliament. If our cameras are out there getting them, yeah. So we have Jefferson Canmore, member ECOWAS Parliament from Liberia, and we have Honourable Nwamba, member ECOWAS Parliament. He's also Chair Committee, Human Rights and Child Protection in Sierra Leone. Also tonight, what is going on in Enugu State? Why is the center no longer holding? What is wrong with the State Assembly in Enugu State? Tonight, we'll be bringing to your homes the views of the Speaker of the Enugu State House of Assembly, Honourable Eugene Odo. Eugene is already in our studios and waiting to go. But before we go to those discussions, today in Abuja, the President of the Federal Republic, President Ebele Jonathan, had his last Council of State meeting. That meeting was well attended. We had Obasanjo attending, we had the President-elect Buhari attending, and almost all the members of that august body. It was a very, very big one today, and I think that meeting offered the members an opportunity to say a farewell to Mr. President. But the good thing about what happened today is that Nigeria again is being portrayed as a country that is growing in democracy. You can imagine all our former heads of government, all our presidents, and then the incoming president in the same room with the outgoing president. That's a whole lot of step in the right direction. And as a Nigerian, I really, really felt very proud. And of course, I did say that the ECOWAS Parliament is sitting in Abuja, and today the ECOWAS Commission, the president of the ECOWAS Commission presented his report and of course talked about the challenges of West Africa. Of course, every one of us knows that one of the biggest issues in our sub-region in the last few months is the outbreak of Ebola. Well, anyway, we'll talk about that when we have this gentleman in the studio. And of course, the Police Council has eventually confirmed the acting Inspector General as the substantive Inspector General. The confirmation was made on Tuesday during the Police Council meeting at the Presidential Villa chaired by President Goodluck Jonathan. That's good news. Of course, we've had acting. So it's very, very heartwarming that today we have a substantive IG, and the feelers that we're getting looks like the new IG is set to go, means business, and is going to bring a lot of change. One other concern to many Nigerians as we approach the handover of government on the 29th of May is this, I don't know if we're going to call it rumor or whether it's actually the fact that a lot of states are owing a backlog of monthly salaries. And a friend of mine earlier today said, why? And the governors are talking about making sacrifices. And all these months that these civil servants didn't get their salaries? What has happened to the security votes that the governors are holding tight to? Can they use security votes to try to solve some of these problems? Well, that's what my friend said. I don't know how practicable that will be, but that's a big, big burden on the shoulders of all the new governors that are going to take office on May 29th. We just hope that something happens and that, well, we hear from the rumor mill that they are talking to the president-elect to see how he can, intervene and lighten the burden. We're all looking forward to that. Some of these are the issues we'll be taking up with some of our guests today. But don't go away. We'll take our usual break. And when we return, Honourable Eugene Odo will be sitting down with me for a frank conversation. Don't go away.
เขาจะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวันเพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้คือได้แค่ความรู้สึกได้เห็นความสุขได้เข้าใจได้ความรักได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิมในชีวิตคุณอะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
You're still watching the O&M Late Show. Mamode is not here, and it's so unusual to be alone. I'm just trying to get used to it. I don't know if it's working, but like I keep saying, when he's not here, it's a little lonely. And joining me right away is the Speaker of the Enugu State House of Assembly, Honourable Eugene Odo. Some people say he's embattled. We're going to find out in a moment. Eugene is joining me. Mr. Speaker, good to see you.
How are you?
Please sit down.
Thank you.
So what's going on in your assembly?
Well, basically nothing. The Enugu State House of Assembly is in peace, but the governor on his own decided to divide the house, ganging up 8 legislators to remove a speaker in a house of 24 members, flouting section 92(1)(c) of the Constitution. To remove a speaker is a legitimate process, but you must meet up with the requisite requirements of 2/3. 2/3 of a house of 24 is 16. And of course, the presiding officer in our law does not vote. In other words, we need 17. But in the case of Enugu State, the governor used only 8 people to claim a purported impeachment. Out of the 8 people, 3 of them were suspended. In other words, the sitting ought not to have held. And then the reason, of course, was not far-fetched. It's a reason known to most Nigerians. The governor sought for a loan of 11 billion naira, less than 60 days to the end of his tenure. And now the House, in its wisdom, felt that this loan coming under ISPO, irrevocable standing payment order, that they will not grant it. The House has granted this loan by November. And then the CBN said, look, that a government that has 7 months, cannot, of course, collect a loan. And then they rejected it. Then he now went to UBA, drew down 2.8 billion without the House. Of course, he took it for granted that he would get a resolution. So when he now went to make it up 11 billion, then he sought for our resolution, and we told him, look, no. We approved it with the belief that within 7 months we would have finished all the project. Of course, we obtained some commitments from the contractors that this project will be finished. But less than 60 days, certainly you cannot. And in the ISPO, the loan was to be paid in 36 months, thereby jeopardizing the incoming administration. So we felt in our own sense of judgment that I think that loan is not proper. We've read some comments where he said that the House was asking for money. But I can tell you that this is a governor who've worked well for the past 8 years. And nothing was demanded. Even when we passed the loan by November last year, nothing was, of course, demanded. How is it that this single transaction of 11 billion under ISPO is people demanding for money? He equally made some allusions that maybe some of us ran for position and could not get it. He equally accused my majority leader that he ran for deputy governor. Under our laws, nobody contests for deputy governor.
Okay, we'll get to the details. But a lot of Nigerians are looking at you and your colleagues with a lot of suspicion. I mean, the Senate president says that the state assemblies are rubber stamps of the executive. And in quotes, you have rubber stamped almost everything the governor did in the last 8 years. And just a month before the governor leaves office, you suddenly wake up and discover that you could say no to a loan. No, so what changed?
No, it doesn't follow in that way. It doesn't follow in that way. Most of the items that have come to the House are legitimate executive requests. And don't forget that we should partner with the executive in order to move the state forward.
Like when you impeached the deputy governor of Enugu State, a lot of people felt that the House was not being fair.
Yeah, the issue of the deputy governor, I think this is a very good opportunity. The issue of the deputy governor, the governor called me personally, and I advised him that, look, why don't you find a way and settle with your deputy? I engaged him in an argument for about 2.5 hours. He asked me to come the next day. Before the next day, he had already called my colleagues to sign. In fact, even in this loan, if he had convinced my colleague, of course, I don't have any option, we would have signed it. So I was unable to hold my colleagues because the governor has convinced them as at then.
That they should impeach the deputy governor?
Yes, and the deputy governor is aware of what I'm saying if he's watching this program.
But it beats my imagination. So
yeah,
the deputy governor was not impeached because he has done something wrong. No. It was because the governor had spoken to you.
Yes, because the governor as at then was able to get majority of the members. You see, the position of a speaker is more administrative than legislative. The speaker is a mere presiding officer that rules where the majority goes. It doesn't matter whether you are happy about it. It doesn't matter whether they're even doing the correct thing. What matters is what is before the House. Has the majority satisfying the position of the law yielded to that request?
But the Speaker can resign if people are doing the wrong thing, and you don't have any powers to change the course of things. You could resign and say, no, I don't agree with this.
No. The issue of resignation does not come in. You cannot resign, especially when your resignation cannot affect a change. I can assure you that if I had resigned, it's possible that this loan would have been approved. Because just like I convinced them through the deputy governor, I equally convinced them. I was lucky this time around that at least I was able to get them by my side.
Okay, you keep talking about the governor. The governor is not a member of the State Assembly. And when you say, oh, the governor brought 8 people, these are not children. These are men that were voted into office by their constituents. So why are you accusing the governor and not accusing your colleagues who have turned around and doing things that are, well, I'm not a lawyer, but things that some of us, even without being lawyers, think that an 8-member house or 8 members of a house cannot remove a speaker that is being supported by 14 or so members. These are not children.
No, you see, the issue is that these members remain my friend till tomorrow. In fact, this afternoon we went for a speakers conference, and the chairman conference of speakers was telling me that the purported speaker that was elected by 8 came to him and asked him, hey, look, I'm now the new speaker of Enugu. And I said, well, okay, if you're the new speaker, we have a meeting. Say, no, I can't come there. You know that we have to do what Oga said. See, the problem is that is why we are insisting on autonomy. In fact, part of the request of the executive that we've rejected is the autonomy. Because even as at the time of passing the autonomy, the governor insisted that Enugu State House of Assembly will not pass, but we insisted on passing that. And part of the reasons why we were able to issue him impeachment notice was, one, there was forgery of the 2012 supplementary bill, which was supposed to have been done by 2012. Just this year, he was about doing it. We said no, that you cannot do this kind of thing at this hour. There was inflation of budgetary allocation, especially in the secretariat that is being built, that is awarded to the tune of 13 billion. Now, they've done variation to the tune of over 21 billion. Now, in Enugu State, the way land are being balkanized, I mean, it is in a sorry state. If you're conversant with Enugu, you would have heard of the conference center, where the former governor, Chimaroke Namani, built, I think, up to 80%. This governor, we appealed to him to finish it, but we said there's no money. Of course, we understand that. But at least we expect that the car park of that same conference center should not be parcellated. In the House of Assembly of Enugu, the land adjoining to it is being erected a big shopping mall. I've never seen any place in the history of this country, and even in Africa, where a shopping center is located beside an arm of government. Of course, you know the old trade fair complex is being parcellated. The old Eastern Nigerian industrial layout is being parcellated. This was a land that was collected from indigenes for overriding public interest according to the Land Use Act. Now, this overriding public interest has been vitiated and now being turned to a private company. Of course, in the concession of Water Corporation, he denied today in a Sun newspaper that he never concessioned water. We have the agreement. And
he said your members were too lazy to read through the agreement.
Yeah,
so you don't even understand what the agreement is about, and you're just making trouble.
I think that explains to you the kind of person we are talking about. For a governor to say that his members are lazy, a governor that has a first degree, even in law, people like us have our masters, are talking of somebody being lazy. You can understand
his argument is that if you read the agreement, that you discover that he did not concession the water corporation or water services in Enugu?
Let me tell you, in the agreement, what was even in the agreement was concession agreement. I don't know what he's talking about. In fact, the MD Water Corporation was invited to the House alongside with the commissioner. Upon testifying that he doesn't know the content of the agreement, we now asked him, but you signed? He said no, that the governor called him and he just signed in order not to embarrass the state. The next morning he was fired.
He was sacked?
Yeah, he was sacked. Then in Esubeb, 2 board members came and testified to the House that, look, the chairman is running like a sole administrator, that the chairman was able to mobilize contracts to the tune of 100%, and yet the job has not been done up to 30%. The following 2 days, they were sacked. All we are saying in concession of water corporation is that water corporation in Enugu State, there's no concession law in Enugu State to start with. The privatization law in Enugu State, water corporation is not among. The commercialization law, water corporation is not among. The water corporation law was not even amended to include concession.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, we don't have all the time, so I'm going to ask you very specific questions.
Thank you.
The governor has accused you of demanding for money from him so that you and your members can approve the 11 billion. Did you demand for money from the governor?
The issue of demanding of money can't even come in. Because,
no. Did you demand?
No, of course we did not demand, and there's no way we would have demanded. This is a governor we saved when he was on vacation in 2012 for 5 months. Did we demand money? In fact, the first time we saw him as a group was just last 2 months, since 2012. That is to tell you that the House has been very selfless.
The governor also accuses you and your members, especially you and your deputy, of going this way because you said he promised you the governorship of the state and you didn't get it, and you're sulking about it.
No, for the purposes of clarity, he didn't promise me anything. I ran for governorship and could not get it. He equally ran for Senate and could not get it. I don't see any big deal in running for election. He procured form for Senate, went for screening and could not get it. And that shouldn't cause any feud. He did not promise me anything.
Because he also said, and I'm quoting the Sun newspapers today, that when he called you in and said, look, you have to be a member of the family, don't go the other way, you cried and went ahead and still tried to do it your own way.
You see, the position of a governor is an exalted position, and I do not expect a governor to lie. That is the least a Nigerian should expect. We had worked with him very well. No kobo was demanded. Why is it that this last transaction that we rejected then precipitated asking for money? We never asked for any money. We never asked for any money. The House, don't forget that this particular loan was passed by November last year. Why didn't we ask for money then? It's just that we felt that less than 60 days to the end of the tenure is very, very unreasonable to enter into ISPO that we mortgage the internally generated revenue of Enugu State for the next 3 years.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, it looks like there's a logjam with the impeachment process of the the House has initiated. Well, today I think it was yesterday, you got an injunction asking the policemen that had taken over the Enugu State House of Assembly to vacate. Are you and your members pursuing this impeachment because you can achieve it, or are you grandstanding and playing to the gallery? Because a lot of people think that the governor is almost leaving in another two weeks or so. So why an impeachment? Do you think you can achieve this impeachment before May 29th?
No, I think we have to start first and foremost with talking on the issue of an arm of government granting an arm of government. In Enugu now, the judiciary, for some reason or the other, is on strike. The governor on his own has granted the House of Assembly, stationed policemen there so that the House will not sit. And of course, as lawful citizens, we cannot just take laws into our hand. We approached the court, and the court gave an order that the Enugu State House of Assembly, under the leadership of Right Honourable Eugene, be allowed to do their legitimate sitting, and directed the police to vacate the premises and should come when we invite them.
Have they vacated the premises?
Well, I'm in Abuja now, I've not known, but somebody told me that they vacated and shifted to a nearby premises, not exactly the House of Assembly premises.
Have you written to the Chief Judge?
No, it's not up to 14 days, of course.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is it practicable?
No, the issue is not about practicability. The issue is about, I expected the governor to join issues on the matters raised.
Is it just for the governor to join issues? Is it?
No. Of course, if I was a governor and he served impeachment notice, I will be waiting. And then I will reply. I didn't do this, I didn't do this.
But he also said that your notice had not gotten to him.
No. You see, we could not effect a personal service. And then we effected a substituted service by pasting on the door of Government House. It is permissible in law and even in practice in legislative parlance.
Mr. Speaker, a number of personalities in Enugu State waded into this matter, and I have it on good authority that even the governor-elect has also waded in and asked all the parties to cease fire for like 2 weeks. Yeah, why is it so difficult that this problem cannot be resolved?
Well, on the part of the House of Assembly is very willing. The governor-elect waded into the matter and then asked us to shield our sword for 2 weeks. We accordingly obeyed. But 5 hours after, the governor brought his men to come and confiscate my official cars. That is to tell you the level of impunity that goes on in Enugu State. He didn't stop us at that. He went as far as introducing, the party chairman invited the speaker that was elected by 7 members to introduce him before the party, a party chairman who should be the father of all. He didn't make any attempt to call anybody. And thereafter went to governor to present him. All this is what the court saw and said, look, no, this cannot happen. And then we've gotten our order, and I believe by Tuesday we'll be resuming our legislative sitting.
Finally, Mr. Speaker, in 2 sentences, what is the way forward?
Well, the way forward for me is for the governor to appreciate the rule of law. He cannot masquerade himself as a governor and at the same time a legislator. Once the rule of law, follows, I think there won't be any problem.
Okay, it's our prayer that there won't be any problem in Enugu State. I've been speaking with the Speaker of the Enugu House of Assembly. Are you embattled?
No. How can I be embattled? It's not possible.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And if you get into your office by any luck on Tuesday, please put this on.
I must certainly be there. This is my coffee.
When we return, we'll be talking to some ECOWAS parliamentarians. Don't go away.
Just as the Buhari organization has made Goodluck Jonathan an issue.
We have laws, we have institutions set up to fight corruption.
Advocacy for the chief of health is born out of what they symbolize.
The average Nigerian wants to know, what do you have for him?
Fanika was with us for a while. What happened? I think he came on a journey and discovered that we are too transparent for him.
A banking license was cancelled in 1 day, an airline license was cancelled in 1 day.
When I was retrenched, it became worse. Sometimes to even find food to give to the children was hell.
Don't tell us you want a nation that will be the most powerful black nation on the earth. We all want it.
How are we going to get there?
O&M Late Show and O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamudia Kuga. Tuesdays, Fridays, 11 p.m. and on Sunday, 2 p.m.
I am Mamode Akuga. For almost 3 decades, have been involved in broadcast journalism, with the better part of that time in the gathering and production of news and news programs. I'm proud to have pioneered weekday morning news talk show on Nigerian television, first with AM TV Live on DBN television and later with Kakaki on AIT.
I am Obiora Ilo. Over 30 years ago, I started my career at Radio Nigeria. Over these long years, I've presented several programs and interviewed hundreds of guests, men and women, the big stars and the not well known, the rich and the poor, politicians, movie stars, journalists, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as they say. You just name them. I've also covered events across the world, from Europe to America, from Asia and back to Africa, bringing first-class reports.
Now, together with Obiora, I will be coming to your screens 2 nights a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, with the O&M Late Show.
From 6th January 2015, Mamode and I will be bringing our decades of experience to bear on our new talk show, the O&M Late Show.
In our careers, we have blazed many trails, and we are thrilled and ready to set new records with nighttime television. The O&M Late Show,
your late night catch-up. You're still watching the O&M Late Show, and I'd like to put it on record that we invited the factional speaker of the Enugu State House of Assembly, Honourable Chinedu Nwamba, and he spoke personally to me and declined to be part of this program. ECOWAS is 40. What is the impact of the ECOWAS Parliament? Being joined by Honourable Jefferson Canmore, Member ECOWAS Parliament from Liberia, and Honourable Chekno, Member ECOWAS Parliament, Chair Committee, Human Rights and Child Protection. He is a Parliament from Sierra Leone. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
In Nigeria, when we meet our parliamentarians, we say honourable. Is that the same thing in Sierra Leone? And please,
It is.
please sit down. Welcome to Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Before we came into the studio, I commented that you are very young.
You mean him?
Both of you.
Officially, maybe.
Well, you are in Abuja for another session of the ECOWAS Parliament. And it will surprise you that sometime today, our reporters went out asking Nigerians what they know about ECOWAS. Not much. Why is it so?
Certainly, the ECOWAS Parliament have arrived at that realization. I've come to that realization that as such, we have been in the last couple of years trying to intensify efforts as sensitization so that our citizenry within the community can be well informed of ECOWAS and their activities. We are not insensitive to that realization.
But in addition to that also, definitely we are not insensitive. But considering stations like AIT, as wide as you are, and with your own little knowledge on the ECOWAS and the Parliament itself, would encourage you to do more in assisting us educating those who don't know about the Parliament.
Well, you're throwing it back at me. So this session, what is it all about? Let me ask you, Honourable Chekno.
Well, basically, in the ECOWAS Parliament, we have ordinary sessions, of which this is one of them. Mm-hmm. And when everything is normal, it's in May and in September, but we also enjoy extraordinary sessions and the localized meetings. But this happens to be an ordinary session wherein everything has been dealt with. We spend more time in Abuja looking at ECOWAS and things that have to do with the ECOWAS, citizens of ECOWAS themselves. It is broader than when we hold extraordinary sessions.
Okay, I understand you'll be here for about 3 weeks.
Yes.
Jefferson, what are the big issues that are going to be occupying your time while you're in Abuja?
Well, basically, as he correctly stated, during such a meeting, we review activities within member states of the community. So we will be listening to various delegations on the situation obtaining in the member states, the issue of the economy of each member states, the issues of political situation obtaining each member states, as well as the security situation obtaining each member states. We will also, like today, receive State of the Community report from the President of the ECOWAS community. And at the end of that presentation, we have some exchange of ideas on the way forward, where to go, hear from. As you know, in recent times, our sovereignty have been involved with the Ebola crisis. We've been able to assess the extent to which the community have intervened in member states, including my country, that have been decimated by the virus. And so these are some of the issues we'll be trading. And as representatives of the people, we get back to our people and see how we can contrive measures and approaches to address such issues.
And now that you talked about Ebola, what is the situation in Liberia?
Well, as you know, there are 3 countries in the Sahel region that have been seriously affected: Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. As we speak on Saturday, the World Health Organization declared Liberia Ebola-free. Have you observed the 2 incubation periods of 42 days? It is our hope that our neighboring countries, Guinea and Sierra Leone, within the foreseeable future, will be able to overcome that problem.
Yeah, Honourable Ba, what's the situation in Sierra Leone as it concerns the Ebola crisis?
Well, as he says, it's been like a trilogy. It's a triangle. It started in Guinea, went to Liberia, and then came to Sierra Leone. The people in the Mano River Basin are all connected and related to one another. So the movement of people itself has not been too helpful to the Ebola virus. But thank God, as he says, Liberia is now free. All of us are very excited. And Sierra Leone today, as I was saying to him before we came to the studio, we've gone 8 or 9 days now with 0 cases. So we keep counting, and when we are 42 days, we'll be declared free, and we hope Guinea will follow as well. But everybody's on board, all hands on deck. The countries are working very hard, but the sub-region is also doing very well. That is why we are also grateful to ECOWAS.
Well, Ebola, as bad as it may seem, brings in graphic details the relationship that should exist between our different countries. Because when Ebola came to Guinea, it even got up to Nigeria. And there were red flags in a couple of other West African countries.
Correct.
So that tells me that we are all bound together. One of the issues that is bothering a lot of West Africans is our inability to leverage on this relationship as it concerns issues like trade, fighting corruption, fighting poverty. You are parliamentarians. You make the laws for all of us. How can the ECOWAS Parliament play more role in the real lives of ordinary West Africans?
Probably Jefferson will want to talk about the enhancements we're working towards.
Okay.
Because a parliament that doesn't make laws, which must be respected, is not a complete parliament. We are presently just advising, playing an advisory role. We are looking forward to having that very power which makes us a parliament, that is to be legislative. But since he's our PR, in charge of communication, he might want to say more.
Oh, great.
Yeah, to the Honourable back, lifted the issue very well. The present status of the parliament is to give advisory opinions on issues that are handled by the Council of Ministers and the authorities of head of state. Since ECOWAS was formed in 1975 for the purpose of regular integration, central to that is the free movement of goods and persons. We have not done much to ensure forcefully to give effect to that protocol. As our citizens move in the Sahel region, there have been a lot of inhibition to promoting free movement of goods and persons. So I think over the period, we think if we pass laws that are uniform and are enforceable through admin at the level of the community parliament, they will give more effect to those. So we are in a process of negotiating with other organs of the community, like the Council of Ministers and authority of other states, to give the ECOWAS Parliament the authority to be able to make laws that are banning, and not just to give advice at the other tiers of the community.
You know, you see, basically, as my brother was just saying, in every democracy where there are good structures, whatever additional structures you might have, the three arms must be there: the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. We have the ECOWAS courts. The executive, they've been represented purely by the commission and commissioners that are based here. But the legislature must be also very effective. You don't expect the executive to be performing the functions of legislators. And whether we agree or not, the fact still remains that it is only members of parliament that represent the people, because they are elected to represent the people. And we are under obligation to represent our people effectively. But you can only do that when all ends do meet, and meet at the right junction.
Let me follow up by asking, what are the inhibitions? What are the encumbrances that is making it impossible for now for the ECOWAS Parliament to be a real parliament that makes laws that are binding on countries of the West African sub-region?
I wonder whether I want to repeat the word hindrance, because probably we are on a journey now. The process is on. And I'm sure you followed the European Union Parliament. Mm-hmm. It took them some time before they themselves were in a position to have the powers we were looking for. We've made a lot of progress. And with the current speaker we have, and the person of Senator Ike, he's passionate about the enhancement itself. He believes in the real parliament. It's not about him or Jefferson or those of us in the parliament, but it's about parliament performing its role. And he has spent a lot of time and energy in making sure we achieve. We are getting support from the commission as well. We're getting support from heads of state, from the Council of Ministers. It is a process. We're moving towards that direction. And I'm sure in the near future, I want to believe that we'll achieve that result.
Well, one other problem that is stealing into the sub-region is terrorism. Nigeria is a perfect example, Boko Haram and all that.
Mali.
Did it come up is it coming up, or has it come up in this session? And what is the approach of the parliament?
Yes, we've been dealing with, in the last two sessions, we've been dealing with the question of terrorism, specifically, generally the issue of security within the sub-region. We think terrorism is a serious distraction from our overall objective of promoting the common market and creating wealth generally in addressing the socio-economic welfare of our people, because we think if the welfare of people are not addressed, their tendency to generate dissent, incohesiveness with the community, and of course a crisis generally. So all in all, we want to factor the question of security in a story into the whole question of governance and development, because if governance is given keen attention, then we will be able to address the material needs of the people and then improve their material condition. So there is an interrelated, interconnected chain of activities which we have to address holistically, not only taking into consideration security aspect alone, but security aspect will be tied to the welfare of the people in order to address, in order to diffuse dissent and instability.
You know, Honourable Chekno, I'm still talking about Nigeria. You know, when this terrorism started, the Boko Haram and all that, Nigeria did a lot by itself, you know, to combat it. But we found out that when it cooperated, you know, holistically with neighbors, a lot of progress was made. How can we leverage on relationships to check the incursion of terrorism in our sub-region?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, we must agree to be our brother's keeper. Without information, all evil will thrive. Terrorism itself is not sub-regional now like in West Africa. It's global. And as a sub-region, we are signatories to all these other protocols and treaties in the world that goes against terrorism. I'm sure it is not too far, you remember when the war was in Sierra Leone and in Liberia, when the rebels were there. ECOWAS provided a force, then named ECOMOG, I believe, if my memory could serve me right.
Yeah.
It was called ECOMOG. Nigeria played a lead role, but then all countries in the sub-region came together. The result was positive. You've just confirmed in Nigeria it's the same. Even though the Nigerian government, as a government, do have the military might, but collectively it's always easier. Because when you are together, bad people don't have other havens to hide. But when you're not together, the laissez-faire attitude will benefit no one. Like the Ebola started in Guinea, Sierra Leoneans will have said, oh, we care less about what is happening. Or if it starts in one corner of Sierra Leone, others care less, it goes to the city, then everybody's affected. It is similar with terrorism. It is serious, and ECOWAS is now very serious in putting up a standing force. Even today, the President of the Commission mentioned it in his report. We hope that that will be actualized, even if the force is not in itself standby at all times, but the structures will be there so that when they need the force, they will be able to come together and achieve their results. We have to guard democracy, and the only way democracy will be guarded is with peace and security. Without peace and security, there will be no democracy. Without democracy, there will be no development. And our people need development. So we owe them that duty of ensuring that there is peace and security within the sub-region.
Okay, gentlemen, let me ask you finally. We talk about ECOWAS, we talk about the parliament, we talk about our various governments. And some people are asking, when are we going to walk the talk? That the parliament, ECOWAS, is all so much talk shop that nothing is actually, okay, let me rephrase, that the impact of the efforts of ECOWAS and its parliament is not felt by the ordinary people. How can we, forgive me, domesticate, you know, the achievements of ECOWAS and the ECOWAS Parliament and its other agencies so that it can impact positively, significantly in the lives of the ordinary West Africans?
Basically, you're taking us back again to dissemination of information.
No, I'm not talking about information.
No,
I'm talking about.
No, I know that is what I'm talking about.
It's a factor.
Because ECOWAS has done a lot, but the people are yet to know what ECOWAS has done. This is taking us back, as I said, to the dissemination of information. It is good for people to know, and we don't have the avenues for now without using you people, because people watch at your programs, they listen to your radio stations, they watch your televisions. The synergy between ECOWAS and the Fourth Estate is very, very, very relevant. I think the president even today talked about ECOWAS working towards having a radio and television, because we need to educate our people. They need to know what ECOWAS is doing. It is not about a talk shop.
Check, no, it's not about information now. The ordinary woman in my village, how does the activities of what is happening in Abuja, how is it going to impact on her?
That is what we're talking about.
It's not just giving her information.
ECOWAS is involved
in fighting poverty. How can he fight poverty?
ECOWAS is involved.
How can he fight corruption?
You are coming to the point again. ECOWAS is in agriculture. They are in infrastructure. They are in energy. They are putting money in these areas. And the bulk of those that are targeted are those in the rural areas.
Okay.
But they need to know.
It's unfortunate that many of our citizens are not informed of the activities of ECOWAS. And as Honourable already stated, there are much to be desired in terms of the work of the ECOWAS, but that is not to say that ECOWAS have not done good things for the community. Well, some of the methods through which we think greater impact can be made is to ensure in the near future that our citizens elect their representative directly. If that is done, there will be constant communication, constant contact, constant follow-up between the elected and the citizenry, so that we, as representatives of the people, can feel obligated to them, and they can have check on us in order to show that what is desired for them is delivered.
Okay, gentlemen, I wish you a wonderful session.
Thank you very much.
as it goes on, and a safe journey back to your countries when it's done.
Pleasure to be here.
Just something to take home.
Thank you very much.
You know, so they will know that while you were in Nigeria,
Yes.
you were on this show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Great traffic.
Thank you.
It's been a very good gift, and I like the shape of the cup.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's our package for today. Hopefully in another week, Mamode will be here. But on Friday, I have another celebrity co-anchor. I'm Obiora Ilo from Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. And please, let's do it again on Friday night.
From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Late Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.